Hey internets, it's Jake, and welcome to Mini Terrain Domain, where today I'm gonna teach you Dwarven Stonecraft. So I'm going to show you basic stone crafting. Here's an example of a finished river stone or field stone chimney that I've done on this work in progress cottage. I'll show in a later video. We're going to use basic foam core, dollar store cheapo foam core for this. So I'm measuring out my chimney, giving it a height approximate to the interior of this cottage, and then I'm measuring the narrower dimension. And then I've measured it to match up with the outside dimensions of the chimney, except here I'm going to measure out the interior fireplace space, so the actual opening that will be the fireplace, though I won't be cutting that on this piece. So take your X-Acto blade and simply trim along your exterior lines, clean up the cuts a little bit there, and just checking it to make sure it fits. Now, here, I'm just cheating a little bit, and I'm tracing for the lower dimensions. I'm going to line up along there, and this is for the interior fireplace. I've decided that I want it to be 3 pieces thick to give it a little more interior dimension for the fireplace. So again, just carefully cut with the X-Acto blade, cut out the interiors of the fireplace, and you can see here that I've decided to add a hearth. So I just doubled the base width of the entire fireplace and chimney, simple little curve, and that's going to be our hearth. Peel all of the backing paper off of both sides. So wonderful thing of this dollar store foam core is the paper comes off super easy. And you're going to want this off of both sides. Now I like to use these little emery boards. I'm cleaning up some of the rough edges, and I'm also rounding the corners and edges all the way around on all of my pieces. This is going to help add to the final effect of the river stone or field stone. It's pretty much anywhere that you want it to have not a sharp edge. Whereas with brick, you might want a sharp edge here. I really wanted this rounded edge. I kind of dry fitted the pieces here so I could see where everything was going to fit together and help to match everything up. And then I'm also doing the interior of the outermost piece of the fireplace along those edges as well. Here I'm just using standard white PVA glue to glue the 2 pieces of the fireplace together. And just clean up the excess glue there. And I'm going to set that aside so it can dry. I'm just going to use a standard ballpoint pen for the stonework. As you can see, it's as simple as drawing your stones onto your piece. Here we're using the hearthstone. So I'm just drawing random, similar sized, though it's good to vary. You can see if you're not careful, you'll have a little bit of a pattern start to show up. And then once you fill in your entire space, take your pen along the edges and make sure those stone lines go all the way down to the edges. And that's true for all visible edges. Now this is the backing piece, and this part here that I'm drawing on will be visible on the interior of the fireplace. So I'm just going to head and draw all of these stones. It's actually good to vary the stones in size and shape. They don't even have to all be round or even oval. You can do some kidney shapes, some slightly triangular, or whatever you want. I like to envision what the home builder, what kind of stones they were picking out when they were out in the field, or if they went down to the river and picked all of these out. Continue your pattern all the way across the entire piece of foam core, and just like with the hearthstone, we're going to continue the lines along the edges. Again, these edges will be visible in the final build, so we want to make sure that we continue that pattern. For the chimney here, I went with smaller and slightly more uniform, or rather, excuse me, the fireplace, more uniform stones. My original intention was to have the thickness allow me to do bigger stones, but the seam was so evident that I chose to just draw the stones in using that seam as if the builder made just an extra thick fireplace here. And notice I did all the way on the interior of the fireplace as well. And though I am going to place a mantel along the top edge later, I decided to go ahead and draw in the stonework anyway, so some of that might show. Put a little dab of PVA glue on and glue that to the chimney piece, and then I'm going to glue the whole chimney assembly to the hearthstone. And while that dries, I'm going to show you a similar technique using the pink polystyrene foam insulation. I've already pre-cut a fence post and a stone wall. Here you can see an example of how this is used for a field stone / split rail type fence. And this is what we're ultimately looking for. Being careful to keep the knife cutting away from you, cut a little bit unevenly along the all edges and the top. And then use your emery board, file, sandpaper, whatever, to round out all of those rough edges and along the top. Remember, we want this to look like stone. I'm going to go ahead and do that on the wall as well. Same thing. I'm roughly cutting away big chunks of the edges and corners. And then as I go around the edges here and get up to the top, I'm actually using the edge of the file to dig in and create more grooves and edges for fieldstone and rock. And then I just go ahead and take off any of the additional coating on that piece of foam. Grab my trusty ballpoint pen, and I am going to do the same thing I've done before on the fireplace, and I am going to draw the fieldstone and riverstone all along the edges and the side and the top. Again, make sure that you're varying the size of your rocks. Make sure you're envisioning everything going together in a way that makes sense. So I try not to have any big gaps in between the rocks. And then along the top there, where I dug in with the file, you don't have to follow those lines. Go ahead and draw over those, whatever. It's just going to help to enhance the overall appearance of the fieldstone or riverstone. And this will finish up on the other side. Both sides are going to be visible, or rather all sides are going to be visible on this, as it's intended to be a piece out in a field or a farmyard or something that characters can take cover behind. And now for this pillar piece or post, we're going to do the same thing. Go all the way around. I like to start at the bottom, as you can tell, and work my way up, much in the same way I would if I were actually building one of these. Now, a step that you could do on here, but I did not do, because I wanted that smooth, more of a riverstone look, is you could use something like a crinkled tinfoil ball or something to lightly press into the surface of all your rocks, and that would give you a very rough texture. It works very well for bricks and stone. And there you see our fieldstone, riverstone pieces. Fence post, wall, and chimney. Fireplace on the interior. Now I'm just going to go ahead and real quick create a hearth, or rather a mantel that will go on the top of the fireplace. And I just cut a piece of popsicle stick and rough up all my edges to give it a hand-hewn look. A little dab of white glue will go across the top there, and boom, there's our mantelpiece. Make sure you tune in for part 2 to see how we paint all of these fieldstone pieces. Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, consider a tip up in the upper right hand corner of the video, and check out Mini Terrain Domain on all regular social media.